All right, well, hey guys, happy Sunday. I wish you were all here with me, but I'm glad that I get to spend a little bit of time with you this way, because I miss you guys. Like, it's no fun doing Sundays without you. So it probably feels, right now, like things are a little out of control, right? Like, you're not going to school right now, and your parents are probably home, and your siblings are probably driving you crazy, and everything just feels different, and that can make us feel like things are out of control. And so I want to share with you guys a story about a way that a guy named Nehemiah used what control he had to get a really big job done. Nehemiah was an Israelite, like he was one of God's people that lived in a place called Persia, under this Persian king. And one day Nehemiah found out that God's city of Jerusalem was in bad shape. Now all of God's people lived in this city called Jerusalem, or a lot of God's people lived in this city called Jerusalem, but they lived in the city and it was in really bad shape. The walls were broken down, the buildings were crumpled in, and they were being attacked by enemies almost every day. Nehemiah found out about this and he was really sad. And so he went to the king of Persia and he asked if he could go and rebuild the wall around Jerusalem. So the king said, sure. And he gave him supplies and he gave him some troops. And he said, go and rebuild this wall around the city of Jerusalem. And so Nehemiah got to the city and he found out that the walls were in pretty bad shape. So I built a wall here with Layla's help. We built this wall, and it's not in the best of shape, right? Like there's gaps in it, and it's not even, and there's holes in it, like there's gaps where people can get through, and there's gates that are missing. It was in bad shape. And so Nehemiah first he tried to rebuild the wall, and so he would get all of his builders, and they would work on one section. So they would work on one section of the wall, and they would try to rebuild that section. But the problem is when they would focus on this section and try to rebuild this section, their enemies would attack this section over here. They would attack this part of town that they weren't protecting or weren't paying attention to. And so even though they'd work a little bit here, the walls would get more destroyed over here. And so then Nehemiah would move all the people and they'd go over and they'd try to rebuild this section of wall. What do you think happened? Yep. The enemies would attack over here on this side of the wall where Nehemiah and the people weren't. And so Nehemiah had a problem. Everywhere he would try to repair a bit of the wall, like he would get attacked from a different side. And so his plan wasn't working. So Nehemiah had to come up with a new plan. And so what Nehemiah's plan is he told all of the people that were living in the city that they were going to be in charge of rebuilding the part of the wall in front of their house. So they lived right on the inside of the wall. That was their section. So if I lived right here, this was the part of the wall that I was responsible for. And if you lived right here, well then you would be in charge of this section of the wall right here. And so then rather than focus on one little section, Nehemiah spread out all of his people. And so every bit of the wall was taken care of. And if everybody did their job, right, if everybody did their part, then their piece of the wall or their portion of the wall would get fixed over time. And then they could also defend it. Like the enemies couldn't get in there because they were there to defend it. And so after a while, over time, Nehemiah and the Israelites were able to rebuild the walls around the city of Jerusalem, and so that they were protected. And they did it by everybody focusing on their section, the piece of the wall that was right in front of them. Now right now things are a little crazy, right? And it might feel out of control. And you might be feeling things like you might be feeling worried or scared or afraid, or you might even be feeling frustrated or bored. But I think what God wants us to do right now is to focus on the things that we can control. And I think that God wants us to focus on controlling our face and our space. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Our face, when I want you to control your faces, I want you to control your attitude and your emotions. Right now, everybody in your house is probably a little stressed, right? Mom and dad are probably a little more grumpy than usual at times. You know, your siblings are probably acting a little bit more crazy than normal. And it's really easy to get frustrated or to get mad or to get upset. And that just makes everybody's experience worse, right? Like that makes everybody's day worse than it already is. So when I talk about controlling our face, the things that you can control, right? You can control how you respond and how you act. And so if you have a good attitude, and if you smile and say yes when your parents ask you to do something, or if you really focus on trying to have the best attitude possible during this time, then that's really going to help everything around you go a whole lot better. Now, what do I mean about controlling your space? Well, you have a space, right? It's a place that God has put you in. It is where you have influence. And what you can do is you can focus your energy on controlling that space. Now, your space can be your family, it can be your home, or probably more specifically, your room, right? Your room is the one place probably in the house that you have control over. And so if you focus on controlling that space, keeping it organized, keeping it clean, keeping it in good shape, well, that's going to help everything around you seem a little bit better. Feel like you're more in control of the situation, because God's going to take care of the big stuff. All of this stuff that's happening right now, God's in control. God's going to make sure that we come out of this thing okay. God's always in control. So we don't have to worry about the big scary stuff. But what God does want us to focus on is the places in our life where He's given us a little bit of control. So, this week, I want you to focus on controlling your face and your space. Make sure that you have a really good attitude when you're talking with people. And make sure that your space, your home, your house, your room is in good shape. And it's going to help you feel a lot better, I bet. Alright? I have a challenge for you this week. Are you ready for your challenge? Here's your challenge. I want you to pick a space in your house. It could be your room. It could be the bathroom. It could be the kitchen. It could be the garage. It could be the backyard. Whatever space you want to pick. And I want you to get your parents to help you take a picture of it as it is right now. Pick a place in your house that's super messy or maybe disorganized. And I want you to take a picture. This is called a before picture. Okay? And then you're going to take charge and you're going to clean and organize that space, and you're going to get it back into a good place. You're going to fix it up, you're going to organize it, you're going to decorate it, you're going to clean it. And then you're going to take a picture when it's all said and done, okay? And then you're going to have your parents post those onto our Facebook or onto our Instagram. And then whoever posts the best picture of before and after, like it goes from being a mess to being really clean and organized, I'm going to send a prize out to you and your family this week, okay? So that's your challenge for this week. Make sure you guys do that. If you have any questions, give me a call. I can't wait to talk to you guys this week. I love you, I miss you, and I hope that this week helps you, or that you feel a little bit more in control and that things go a little bit more relaxing for you this week. Love you guys.